Welcome to the Tech for Climate Action podcast with me, Ralph Cochrane. If you're interested in how technology can help fight climate change and improve all our lives, you're in the right place. But we do need your help. Please hit the subscribe button and tell a friend. Sharing is caring. It really does help us keep the lights on and keep this podcast going. Now, in this episode, we're going to talk to somebody that many of you will know, as he's our special rapporteur for the Tech for Climate Action event in Brussels on the 17th of October. A former MEP who championed climate action for the past 10 years and was 4 times nominated as Representative of the Year, winning twice, I might add. He is now a UN ambassador for tourism and has created his own think tank. Istvan Ujhelyi, welcome to the Tech for Climate Action podcast.
Thank you so much, Ralph. I think you are the first one who could pronounce my family name, Ujhelyi. It's not easy, it's a Hungarian name.
I think you're being far too kind to me, first of all, but thank you. Congratulations, first of all, on a very successful career as an MEP. When you look back, what do you consider to be your most significant achievement?
Come on, Ralph. It is not the end of my career. I'm 49. I have several future plans. Come on. But thank you so much for your question. Yes, after 29 years in the politics, I made a decision not to run again to the European Parliament and to have a break, and after the 10 years here in the European Parliament, and I have a very long and good experience how the political kitchen is working around us, and I try to be some kind of supporter or reporter of the conference, because I really believe that we have to support the political decision makers to do better job in the member states on the European level.
And when you think about using technology to help fight climate change, what has been the driving force within the European Parliament? I mean, to me, it seems like the European Parliament is really leading the way around the world. But where does that drive come from?
Very interesting question, because I arrived 10 years ago to the European bubble, and I can tell you it wasn't fashionable to speak about the sustainability or the green transition. Some years ago, when the European Parliament started to push the issue, I had a feeling that something will happen, revolutionary thing will happen with us. And yes, later on we will speak about the problems, because I have so many critical messages. But it's a fact. The European Union became the historical flagship institution for the climate issues and the green transition, which is very important for all of us. I was responsible for tourism and also for health issues in the European Parliament. It was the first 4 years after the COVID, when every time, in all the committees, all the task force, we had to follow the Green Deal and had to do something related to the Green Deal. And this is, which is very important, because in the ITRE committee, in the budget committee, in the TRAN committee, Transportation and Tourism committee, and also in the Health Committee, we every day had some files related to the Green Deal.
And when you look at the Green Deal, which is so encompassing, where have the successes been? And you just mentioned you're well aware of the challenges as well that are still ahead. Just tell us a little bit about some of the successes, because it's very difficult to get everybody behind an initiative like the Green Deal, and some of the other laws and initiatives that have been passed, like the nature restoration law as well. It's quite difficult, isn't it, politically, to get everybody singing from the same hymn sheet?
This is the biggest problem, Ralph, because not everybody. We can talk about the biggest challenge, the populist parties, movements all over the world, not only here in the European Union, but also in the United States. those politicians who would like to have easy votes, they started to speak against the green transition, the Green Deal, the sustainability. And yes, answering to your question, one of the biggest success to have one big majority in the European Parliament, which is 27 member states, more than 700 MPs here. And we could manage the big majority supporting the Green Deal and some files the very complex Fit for 55 dossier, which has full with very difficult topics and issues, got a majority in the European Parliament, and most of the member states' governments followed it. So this is a big success, and the last 5 years I can tell you that all kinds of not only political decision makers, but all kinds of stakeholders, NGOs, and also the private companies tried to follow the new ideas and not only the rules. And this is very important because the Green Deal be historical project of all of us. And this is maybe the biggest challenge for all of us. So the success is to put this issue onto the table, to have more and more concrete new actions. And the biggest question is how we can continue it in the member states and on the European level.
Let's talk about the challenges, but first of all, congratulations on those successes, because I think we're now starting to see what I think you always see with big initiatives and projects, that when it comes to actually implementation, it's a little bit harder. And of course, the political winds have changed as well. So for those people who are not based in Europe, there's been a rise of populism, as you mentioned earlier, Istvan, which means, I think, you tell me, I'm not the politician, but populism tends to mean that people are more focused on what's going on at home, perhaps less inclined to be worrying about some of the issues that you should worry about with climate change. But maybe that's a sweeping generalization. We're just coming back from the summer recess. There's lots of energy, but has the political landscape changed within the European Parliament?
I hope that in the European Parliament we'll have a majority to support all the new actions, because it's not enough to have big dreams and nice plans, but the implementation is very crucial. But the big question, what will happen in the member states? Look at that, what happened in Germany some days ago in the election. And for example, that movement which got a huge number of the votes, this movement here in the European Parliament and also at home in Germany were against the Green Deal. And there are more and more movements in the member states who tries to speak against the green transition, the Green Deal, and use campaign against all the green issues, which is terrible because they have so many followers, and of course there are so many truths in all the speeches what they have, but they don't talk about the concrete plans what and how they would like to serve our future. So this is a big challenge this time. But in the European Parliament, I hope they can manage it. I can help it from outside in the future. But you have to know that this time, the new European Parliament, 40% of the MEPs are totally new players in the game. This time in September, they meet again and immediately they have to make some important decisions about the Green Deal. And also we are waiting for the new college of the European Commission. It will be crucial for all of us who will be responsible for the Green Deal and what kind of plans do they have.
Just give us a sense of the next few years. So if you're listening to this and you're not familiar with the plan for the Green Deal, what is actually going to happen over the next 5 or 6 years? Are things being tightened to make sure that people follow the rules?
Of course, there are so many small details, but for me, what is the most important issue, the implementation, it's very important, and to find the balance between the industrial interests and the Green Deal. Because, and this is my critical message about the Green Deal, and I told it several times here in the European Parliament, it's impossible to make a new plan, not involving the industrial players, the European industrial players. We have to keep the competitiveness of the European industry, aviation industry, the shipping industry, the transportation, tourism, all other kinds of industrial sectors. And it's very interesting because I was vice chair of the TRAN committee, Transportation and Tourism Committee, and parallel with it, I was member of the ENVI committee, which is responsible the environment issues. And in the morning, when I had some conversations in the TRAN committee with industrial players or with stakeholders, I totally agreed with all the messages, all the problems. And I arrived at the afternoon to the ENVI committee. I had to vote about the Green Deal, very concrete files. So I had a feeling in the past, most of the decision makers in the European Commission or in the European Parliament didn't pay enough attention to the industrial interests. And it's also very important for all of us. So for the next years, the next 2, 3 years, it will be the most important thing. Try to find the balance of the interests because we need the jobs, we need the European competitiveness, and parallel with it, we need our green future.
Yeah, I think you make a really interesting point, and that also brings me on to what you're doing now. So I believe you set up a think tank, and it sounds you want to help people understand the Green Deal, so both on the industry side, but also the European Parliament. But tell us a little bit about what you're planning on doing now.
I don't want to step back to the Hungarian internal political debates. If somebody is familiar with the Hungarian political situation, then immediately can understand it. So that's why I have a big dream to be here in Brussels in an office together with my excellent colleagues and to be some kind of bridge builder between different parts of the globus, for example, Asia, America, Africa, and also European countries, and to find some important issues like the climate issues, like the tourism issues, and using my network and my knowledge and experience to have as an advisor or as a partner, for example, for the MOTIS in this event. And also, parallel with it, I really believe that we need educated future generations. I have 6 kids, so I know very well how important it is to give them good knowledge. So that's why I became president of the council of one private education institution and university in Switzerland. And we would like to have several important discussions and also future leaders programs. So I try to be useful. I always was very energetic. My English always was terrible, like now.
It's really not.
This is one of my biggest problems, but you can hate me or like me, not depending on my English level. So my plan is to be useful for the new generations. So this is my biggest dream and plan.
First of all, your English is really good, and we can all follow exactly what you're saying. I think also in some ways you are more direct, which I certainly appreciate because I understand the sort of challenges that we face ahead. I wanted to ask you as well about your UN role. So, this is around tourism. Can you just tell us a little bit about what you're doing there?
Yes, the maybe I didn't mention, but I was responsible for tourism in the Hungarian government, and I was president of the National Tourism Board 16 or 17 years ago. And after that, I was the maybe the noisiest lobbyist of the tourism industry here in the European bubble, because 25 million jobs in the European Union. This is the third biggest industry, the service industry. So we really have to give stronger attention to the tourism industrial players. Most of them family companies, SMEs. So they really need our support. And the UN Tourism, which is the UN agency for the UN World Tourism Organization, invited me to stay with the industry, with the tourist family, and I became ambassador of the UN Tourism in Brussels to the EU institutions. So we will open one small representative office here, and I try to manage all the stakeholders to have a common voice in the EU institutions, the Airport Council, the Cruise Lines International Association, the HOTREC, which is the Hotelier Association, the ESPA, which is responsible for the health tourism and medical tourism. So there are so many players, and we need a common voice. I will try to manage it to support the tourism industry and those people who are working in the tourism industry.
Fantastic. I'm sure you'll continue to do an amazing job. I'm interested about tourism and also climate action. So, when we talk about tech for climate action, maybe the first area you think about is wind farms or energy. But why does climate action matter so much for tourism as well?
As I mentioned, all kinds of issues, policies, industries are related to the climate changes and, of course, the Green Deal of the European Union. When we are talking about tourism, there are hundreds and hundreds examples where and how we or the tourism industry can support the Green Deal. And of course, immediately you can think about the transportation, because the transportation, the mobility, and the tourism are related industries, because without transportation we are not able to speak about the tourism. But not only the aviation or the cruise lines are interested, but also the small hotels and small companies who need helps and supports from the national governments or from European level to change the system what they are using, because we are not in the 50s, 60s, 70s. We are in the 21st century, and we really have to change our daily routine. That's why, for example, it's very interesting what will happen with the digital transition in the European Union. How can we involve the AI and other digital new technologies to the different industries, also, for example, into the tourism industry? There are so many good examples who are coming from the universities who have new ideas. I think these years will be historical part of our European Union, thanks to the European Green Deal, which will change everything.
So, really driving innovation, which I think is going to be very interesting. I wanted to ask you about your role. So, at our conference, which is in October in Brussels, you're going to be the special rapporteur, so the MC, basically. What themes are you looking forward to discussing?
Absolutely, one important thing: how can we continue the implementation of the Green Deal? And we will have professionals, we will have political decision makers, and we have to make a deal about the Green Deal, because without support And without strong industrial messages to the political decision makers, we will not be able to continue what we have started some years ago. So this is my main aim, to push all the speakers and the audience to speak about the future plans. How can we continue what we have started?
Fantastic. I'd like to also just talk about successes as well. So you mentioned innovation. You must have seen some things that you've thought, oh, that's really interesting. I just wondered if you could give us a little bit of insight into what you've seen that you think is working in the fight against climate change.
Absolutely, the Fit for 55 package, and related, for example, the Fit for 55, some big changes in the transportation in the European Union. And also very important to realize that how the union could make some changes in the budget. So this is the not the first time, but in this amount, this is the first time when the European institutions not only spoke about some dreams, but immediately created a budget to support it. So the transportation and for example, the new plans for the future European transportation are crucial. I was initiator or main mentor of the Discover EU program, which is related to the tourism and also to the transportation. It's a free interrail ticket to 18 years old teenagers, and 100,000 teenagers got this free pass the last years, and I wanted to promote not only the different cultural backgrounds and cultural historical things of the European nations and European countries, but also the train system. But there are so many other examples. For example, the housing. How can we help the cities, the local cities, for example, to have a better energy housing program sponsored or supported by the European Union? It's also one good example when you can make a partnership between local communities and the European aims. These kinds of examples what I like, which can have a big dream and aim together with concrete actions with the local communities.
I understand you've started your own public affairs consultancy in Brussels as well. I'm interested in kind of what's the future for you. I know we started there with the changes that you're personally going through, but it sounds to me like if you're an organization that wants to understand how Brussels works or understand how the Green Deal might be implemented, on both sides, you're somebody that can help with that. Is that how you're positioning yourself for the future?
Myself or together with my team, I think I am nobody without my team. I learned that when I was very young, and that's why together with my former colleagues, we established this think tank NGO advisory office. So without them, I am not able to do anything. But together with them, we can do everything. We don't want to speak now about the political background, but we have a challenging time. I just arrived back from Ukraine. I know the next years will be very heavy for the European institutions, but we have to push them, the Parliament, the Commission, the Council, everybody, and also the Member States governments, to have a stronger European Union, which can be a good player on the global race.
Well, Istvan, that's all we have time for, but thank you for all of your hard work so far. Thank you for joining us on the podcast. And also, if you're listening to this or watching and you want to ask Istvan more questions, you'll be at the Tech for Climate Action event in Brussels on the 17th of October as the special rapporteur. So, Istvan, thank you so much.
It was my honor, Ralph. Thank you so much, and share this video. And please contact me if you would like to have any more informations.
Fantastic. Yeah, please do share this video. It really helps. Thanks, Istvan.